what should he suddenly encounter but a considerable body of Indians who were just returning from a plundering excursion among the Souths. In an instant, because he's the major, he's the gallant. He comprehended the full extent of his danger. Escape seemed out of the question, either in the direction of Short Creek or back down to the bottom. A fierce and vengeful foe completely hemming him in, cutting off every chance of successful retreat or escape. What was to be done? To fall in their hands and share the most refined torture that savage ingenuity could invent? That thought was agony. And in an instant, the bold soldier, bold and gallant, preferring death among the rocks and the bramble to the knife and the faggot of the savage, determined to plunge over the precipice before him. Now see, here's where I always had to do a little reference. See, to my students who were 17, 18, 19 years old, I said, a faggot, in this case, is a burning stick. Not what you think it is. Oh, okay. See, that's why somebody said, why do you like to do more mature audiences? Because you don't have to explain stuff. They know stuff. You know, look out on the board. Without a moment's hesitation, for the savages were pressing upon him, he firmly adjusted himself into the saddle. He grasped the bridle with his left hand. Now, who's here to tell you that? You see, that's where, well, this sounds good. Yeah, but if you're, this is history. This is not a novel. Okay, with his left hand, supporting his rifle in his right, he pushed his unfaltering horse over. Unfaltering horse. Anybody ever ride a horse? Did you ever want to go down over a steep hill? No. Horses are not dumb. Okay? Oh, you think this is, here, it gets even better. A plunge, a crash, crackling timber and tumbling rock where all the wondering savages could see or hear. They looked chagrined but not bewildered. Excuse me. What the hell was a chagrined Indian? If they're already Redmond, how could they get any redder? They looked at one another, and while they inwardly regretted that fire had been spared its duty, they could not but rejoice that their greatest enemy was at long last power of doing any further injury. But lo! Right there. You see? Miss Cummins, when you start writing, I want to see but lo's. But lo! Ere a single savage had recovered from his amazement, what should they see but the invulnerable major? Now look, so what we've done, we've got the gallant, bold, invulnerable. On his white steed, galloping across the peninsula. And this place has been memorialized as McCulloch's Leap, and will remain so as long as that hill stands and the recollections of the past have a place in the hearts of the people. Now, if you turned that crap into me when I was doing I might give you an A for creative writing. But for history, you're not going to get it. First of all, keep in mind that the hill that he's jumping over does not look like it does today. First of all, it's steeper today than it was then because they had to cut in the national road. And they threw all that stuff over. What it was a big hill. And instead of leaping over the hill, he probably slid down. But you see, McCulloch's Leap or McCulloch's Slide? Which one? McCulloch's Leap. And have you ever seen that picture? There's McCulloch on the horse, and the horse's eyes are like, and it's getting ready to leap over. You know, if I were now that guy's a hero. for that. And we know him for the last 200 years because he leaped, whatever, over a precipice. But you see, he went down a small hill. Precipice. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Samuel McCulloch. A couple years later, he's riding along what's now Gertie's Point Road and gets shot by the Indians. They disembowel him, hang his innards from a tree, cut out his heart, okay, which is not uncommon. You know, if a lot of Indians violated corpses because they thought that the corpse might be used in the afterlife, and if you don't want your enemies, you destroy them. That's why you would cut off their muscles and sometimes do some other strange things to it. But that's McCulloch's leap. That's all it was. Okay. But it's important because when people move into an area like this, what these early settlers do to bring civilization is important for those who follow. Those are our heroes. Those are the people who make it possible for us to have a safe community. Okay? Actually, the worst violence of 1777 was not what happened in Fort. It's what happened when they went out scouting down to what's now Moundsville. And on their way back, this will show you, and I've read several descriptions of this. These guys are coming back from Grave Creek, and the one guy said, you know, thought I heard some Indians last night. Maybe we shouldn't go down by the river. Why don't we go way up over the hill? I know it's a little longer, but it's probably safer. And Foreman, who was from over east in Hampshire County, I think, said, no, we'll go up here. They're not going to attack us. Okay, so there are a couple of the guys are saying, I'm not going this way. So they go up over the hill. And these guys are going up, and they get there, and the Indians have thrown some trinkets out. Okay? So what do? They stop to pick up the trinkets. Yeah. And 21 of them get killed in a very short period. You know, because the Indians have guns. You know, the Indians get guns too. The British will give them some guns. And the other guys actually came down over the hill yelling and whooping and doing some other things, and the Indians ran off. But there are 21 guys killed. There are hardly anybody killed in the fort. Most of the people who die at the siege of Fort Henry aren't in the fort. They live out on the surrounding parts. One of the things that happens in this environment is you have these blockhouses and forts in areas where when things get bad, people can run to them. Okay? And that's what they did here. Well, that's 1777. But there's hardly anything in 1778 or 79 or 80 or 81. Despite all the stuff that's going on, okay, it's not a constant siege. It's not constant battles. Because most of the Indian parties that came in, or parties of first Americans who were raiding into this area, maybe 5, 10, 20. They're not large groups, okay, until 1782. In 1782, we do it all over again. We have another siege of Fort Henry. And this one we have a new hero. And who's the hero of the second siege of Fort Henry? Betty Zane. I love reading stuff. This comes from a poem. Let's see. Dr. Thomas Dunn English published a poem. This was published long after Betty Zane. This was probably done 50 or 60 years after.